almost like trying to fight, like, you know, choreograph yourselves around it. We don't say it wasn't that difficult. Just had to think about it. You do have like a COVID supervisor who just like waves a fish at you, like, good, stop, you know, spread yourselves out. So I mean, that was, you know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's the new person on set. You've got like a nurse, you've got the optician, and you've got the COVID person. That's the new one. But it was alright. It was good fun. It was fine. It was only one day as well, so
that's one day. That's cracking, man. Yeah.
Aye.
Nice. Aye. Cool. Okay, right. We crack on then. We'll get into the meaty questions. So everyone, welcome, John. Can we have like a kind of quiet round of applause or like a wave or something? I don't know what you want to do. Hey, here we go. So yeah, thanks for coming along, John, and being here with us virtually and chatting with us today. So first of all, I just wanted you to give the students an idea of, you know, how you got started as a filmmaker. By the way, your hair, like with your hair and your beard, you're looking a lot like Edgar Wright just now.
Oh no, I don't think that.
Choppy. How did you get started in filmmaking, man?
I mean, I'm probably like everybody here, like, you know, kind of like you're growing up and you sort of you want to get any film, or you want to get any like sort of like the drama, so you go to like theatre clubs and drama clubs and all that as like a kid, and sort of just like done wee acting bits and bobs and all that sort of stuff. You know, at school, or sort of like done drama. We didn't have digital media or anything like that, so like the only way you like, you know, made stuff was with your pals in the back, and like I had my muzzle like VHS Panasonic camera, and we would just do like Monty Python sketches, like, because we couldn't edit anything, so we had to edit it in camera. We would jump up in the air and go, and then like I reappear somewhere else going, that was as much as like to an extent as it would really go. But so when I was in like I was finishing school, and I'd found out that you could do like an HND in filmmaking. And I was like, I'm going to go and do that. That sounds amazing. I get to play with cameras and make films. That's amazing. So I did that, and I made like a wee documentary, and that got me into doing my BA honours at the RSAMD, which is now the RCS now. So my degree was at the Glasgow College, my HND was at Glasgow College of Building and Printing. So all the universities I attended are all gone. Like my degree's worthless. But I specialised in cinematography. Cinematography. I always thought I wanted to be a DOP. Like, I love frames. I love colour. I just love things evolving and watching people on screen. And it was just something that just sort of like where I was sort of focused. So when I sort of like finished uni, I was coming out and I was, you know, trying to find jobs, and picked up some camera trainee jobs and sort of camera assistant, and started to work my way up the ladder. All in between that, I was shooting like corporates, you know, like just to make some money. I used to shoot the football. So I used to work for Motherwell Football Club. It was back in the day when everything was filmed on like VHS. Is that yours, Kim? Graham was getting in there as well. On the well. I used to film them all on VHS, and what it was only the home games, and when Celtic or Rangers weren't playing them, because Satanta used to record them, and they would get them all recorded, hand over for that. So I've done that, and then I got a job working for the Scottish Football Association. I used to work with the under 13s to under 19s as like a video technician and stats analysis. I used to get to, for 4 years, I travelled Europe with we had this backroom team, and like all these different squads and stuff like that. So, you know, that was kind of like where I was at, and I always thought camera and everything else is where I wanted to be. And then I was working on a TV show called Waterloo Road. They'd moved up to Greenock, and I was working on that. I was just hating my job. I wasn't hating. It wasn't the show. It wasn't the people. It wasn't like that side of things. it was just, I was finding myself like increasingly, I wasn't being creative. Like, you know, like how I'd started out to do was like making sketches with my mates, and something that's always I've maintained is just shooting stuff with my pals, and, you know, making wee short films, making wee stupid sketches. It didn't really matter what it was. It was just like Saturday and Sunday, Mum will go out filming something, you know, and that had always kind of carried on. And as I said, I was just feeling like I wanted to do something, and I was living in this flat where I was living with a flatmate. This guy worked night shifts in a factory, and I was doing obviously 12, 13-hour days on Waterloo Road, and like I never met him for 3 months. So I used to leave him like post-it notes about the flat, like, "Hi, yeah, I'm John, I'm your flatmate. Like, there's beer in the fridge, wire in, you know." And he started writing me back, like, "All right, John, there's some stiffies in the freezer." I went, "What stiffies, man?" And then, you know, it was like, I think he'd made something in the microwave and it spewed all over it. And I wrote, "Can you clean this?" And it was just, you know, like a wee bit of back and forward, a bit of banter. And I thought, this would be nice if it was like a wee short film about a guy and a lassie sort of trying to strike up a relationship. And so I wrote this wee short called Notes. And we had on Waterloo Road, we had a like a shutdown for like 3 weeks. One of the actors had taken not well, and we like basically a production had to stop. And in that 3 weeks, I was like, "Do you know what? I'm going to shoot this." So like, I just sort of like got all my mates together, and we were like, "Mum, we'll make this wee short film." And over like we shot it the Saturday, Sunday, and honestly, man, like I've done wee bits of directing, I've done wee bits here and there and stuff like that, but like I've never been good at anything. Like I've never been naturally like good at something. And like I used to get the cheers for turning up medal, you know, like you know, "Thanks very much, John." Thanks. The make up the numbers like trophy. Like, and that weekend, everything just clicked. Everything was just like, you know, flowing. Just how the conversations were going back and forward. Like how I wanted it shot, how I could see it coming together, even with the cast and stuff. And there was only like, say, about 8 of us that shot it as well, and like it was just really, really good. Anyway, so what happened was we were coming back back onto Waterloo Road. The 3 weeks were up, and we were starting to get everything together. And I'd shot this, and it was now in post. And this is the other things. I've never been sacked before. I've never been let go of a job before. I've never been told I wasn't good enough before. And what happened was I was getting brought in for expecting my contract to get renewed for the following year. And what happened was they weren't going to renew my contract. The DP didn't really like me. It wasn't like we'd had a fallout or we'd argued or anything like that. It was just he didn't like my personality. I'm a cheeky chappy. I'll go and sit with the Sparks. I'll go and sit at lunch with the art department. I don't really care. The camera, you kind of like get to stick to your own. He was a wee bit sort of kind of old school in that kind of way. And I just wasn't interested. And so like it broke my heart. Like I'd never, as I say, never been like let go of it before. And I was kind of a little bit gutted, and I didn't know what to do. And I was like, I'm going to need to go and find another job. And I went, "Do you know what? I'm going to become a director. My short films that is quite good. I quite liked it, and I feel like I'm good at this." And unfortunately, my grandfather had passed away just before I went to go and shoot Notes. He'd left me $5,000, and I went, "Do you know what? I'm going to use this $5,000, and I'm going to make another 2 shorts, all in the vein of comedy. Like each time we're going to progress, we'll get more characters, more locations, and just start to sort of like build it up." I'd went to a film festival because this all happened in the sort of like the November, December. Notes get accepted to its first festival in February. It was a little film festival called the Bootleg Film Festival in Edinburgh, and we won Best Scottish Short. And I was quite taken aback by it all, and I was like, "No, this is it, John. This is what you need to do." And so I'd sort of like went, right, this is what I'm going to work towards. So I just kept on shooting the corporates and wee bits and bobs to keep my head afloat, but I just focused 100% on the shorts. And I just sort of I bashed out another 3. So we made 4 in a year. Just started putting them out to festivals. One of them was Just Say Hi, which was like, it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. We made that for a laugh because we were bored in between making the shorts. We fired it into the Virgin Media shorts and get down to the final 13, and then won the 2 Audience Choice Awards that night, which was mental. And so as we were sort of progressing along like this, and we started to go, well, what's the next stage? And the next stage was a feature film. So I'd started writing this first feature, and like trying to think about, you know, what I could do with it, trying to get finance, the usual sort of like gubbins.
Yeah, well, that's what I was actually going to speak to you about. Was like, how did you find that transition from making the shorts to then going to a full feature? You know, making something that was 2 minutes long to something that's, you know, 90 minutes.
I mean, like it's just like a short, and except that it's longer. You know, like you know, it's all about the prep. You know, and that was something we always wanted to do, and it was daunting. The actual shoot itself was incredible. I mean, it was like stressful, and I had so much anxiety the whole way through it. Every single time before I go and shoot anything, the week before, 2 weeks before it, I turn to like everybody and go, this is crap, we need to rewrite it. Like, do you know what we should do? We should just we'll just keep the whole cast and everything else, but we'll rewrite the script and we'll give them new characters, and that'll work, and it'll be better, it'll be really better. That, like, I think everybody all sort of like freak out, but it's just, you know, as I said, it is just a shot. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, each day you've got like what you need to shoot, or like, you know, you can only sort of manage something each day, and it's like, well, you know, each day I have to, you know, make sure that I'm completing on time and I'm getting all the scenes that I'm wanting to do, and you're just kind of going through like that. And the finance side of it was like probably the most difficult part, because I'd never sort of like raised finance before. I'd never sort of like owned my own company. I'd never sort of done like all that sort of stuff, even like the tax stuff. So what I'd done was, you know, I knew that I could get, I knew 10 grand from like crowdfunding was was an achievable amount, and I thought, right, well, if I can get that, and what my aim was, it was like, if I can get 50 grand, I can get this in the can. Like, I can shoot this, and then post will just take care of itself. Yeah, so we started to sort of like look at ways of raising the finance. So like crowdfunding, we got 5 grand from Virgin for the Virgin Media shorts. They wanted to give me 5 grand towards a short, but I said I was doing a feature, would they be up for that? And they were like, yeah, there you go. And also I should mention that I tried Creative Scotland, and like, yeah, it's like going to get a mortgage, right? You know, you don't tick the boxes, you don't get the mortgage. And here I am turning up to Creative Scotland, phoning them up, like, all right, how you doing? You've never heard of me before. I've made some short films that you've never seen. I want 50 grand. Give me money. To be fair, the way that I'd sort of like pitched it as well, like just so you could all, I'm sure the process hasn't changed that much in that long a time, but the way that happens is when you sort of like, you're applying for finance, and you usually get assigned someone who's going to look after each of your case. So they arranged a call for me to jump on the phone, and what it was I was looking for 30 grand. Was it 30 grand I was looking for? I can't mind now. But what happened was I had to. I was looking for 30 grand or 50 grand. I can't mind. And they said to me, "Sorry, John, the minimum we do is 100." I was like, "But I'm only looking for 30. Like, I don't need the full 100." And he says, no, that's the minimum, and you've got to raise 30% of that yourself. I was like, what? No, but I don't have 30 grand. Like, I can't get that. Like, that's why I'm here. And they were saying to me, no, you need to raise 30% of your financing yourself. Your minimum budget has to be 100 grand, and you have to have a well-known executive producer attached. And me being the cheeky chappy I am, was like, so what's a well-known executive producer when it's at home? Have you guys got like a pre-approved list that you have? And he laughed at me. And he told me that's the most stupidest question he's ever been asked before. And I was like, all right. And I was like, I take it we should just finish the call here. And he's like, yeah, we might as well. So that was the end of my Creative Scotland journey. To be continued. Yeah, so it was just a case of like, well, I'm going to have to go and get the finance myself, and what can I do? And I was looking at, like, you know, the time we were in a recession, and I'm trying to look at companies around me in Scotland that could maybe help or could maybe jump on board. And one of the things I've always sort of like, when I left school, between going to college to do my HND and leaving school and going and doing my HND, I got a job working for 8 weeks for a construction company, just fitting kitchens and heating systems in Partick. And it was like sort of a really, really good job, but it was always sort of like something that I've sort of liked, is the sort of the construction industry. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to ask some folk, like some companies, if I, like, you know, why not jump on board? I know that there's certain sort of like high earners at these sort of companies that have built up their companies and they're looking to sort of like get rid of tax, as well as that their companies are doing well. And it was that way of Shane Meadows had made Once Upon a Time in the Midlands by trying to by getting the money from the Eurostar, and I thought, I'm going to try and do that. So we were launching our Indiegogo campaign for our Kickstarter. So we'd hired out Cineworld. So Cineworld do like you can hire out Cineworld for 250 quid, and it's like BAFTA rate, or they'll get it for BAFTA rates. But what it is it's basically like it's a private function. You can't sell tickets. But what we did was just pay what you want on the door, and I invited like a whole bunch of these construction companies, like the CEOs, along. 4 companies responded, and the four of them had come along. One guy sent his 3 daughters, one guy came with his wife, and the other 2 guys had came with their business partners to a short film night. And what it had done was they really liked the shorts, and it got me into their offices to pitch. So now I'm phoning up an accountant going, hi, I don't know anything about tax or accounts. Is there any way you can help me get money out of people? And they started to explain to me about the SEIS scheme, which is now changed and it's different. And I don't know how it works now. But at that time, it was, if you invest money into an enterprise, you can get up to 50% of it back at tax time. So people who are looking to write off money to put into, like, as I say, a new enterprise, they're about to get fit, they can get up to 50% of that back. So not only they're writing it off, they're getting some of it back. And if you've got a good accountant, apparently 75 as well. I don't know. But it was a good way of getting people to invest. So that had me in, as I said, these guys' offices to sort of to do it. One guy had offered me a loan, or one company offered a loan, and I couldn't do it because I couldn't be in debt in case the film failed, I failed, and then, you know, I'm in debt to a company. So the investment thing was the only thing I could really ask for. But the other 3 were up for it. What was it? One of the companies, it was like one of my favourite stories for it. Like, I'm halfway through my pitch and the guy goes, hey, I'm just going to stop you there, mate. What do you want? I was like, 10 grand. And the guy turned to his dollars and went, get a checkbook.
That's amazing, man.
Way these things, and the way that it worked with me is, again, I'm a cheeky chappy. I'm from the East End of Glasgow. These guys are all self-starters. They've all built up their own company. They've all started it from like the ground up. You know, they don't come from like a sort of like middle class background. So if I'm coming into them and being like, oh, I'm going to make a film and there'll be lights and stars and you love it, they'll be like, eat it. But if I'm explaining, like, look, I'm a self-starter. All I'm wanting to do is make a product and sell it. and my product just happens to be a film. And like, I didn't bullshit them about anything. I was completely straight. I was completely about everything that I was doing. This was about my first feature, about how I'm trying to raise the finance, how I spoke to an accountant about all the different things. I was just honest with it all. And as I said, these guys just took to me. I got, was it 25 grand overall from them? So 25, 10, that was at me at 40. And then the latter part of it was, I went and done a corporate for Saatchi and Saatchi down in London and charged a fortune. And it was just me, myself. So like, I practically just took all that money and just filed it right into the film. That's how I made the money to make it together. Then that was how like the process of starting to shoot it as well. So I mean, like that, and in comparison to the short films of like, right, it's only going to cost us a couple of £100 to make these, to, you know, like a couple of thousand. It was a wee bit different, but yeah, I mean, like, it's just hustling. It's like, I'm sure you guys are all hustling to make your shots. You're all hustling to get any locations. You're hustling trying to get crew, trying to get actors, and you need to pick up the phone and talk to people. Don't be scared of it. Like, in this industry that we're in, it's full of rejection. You're just going to get rejected every day, and you might as well get used to it. Might as well get used to picking up the phone and someone saying, "No, you can't film here." Like, thanks, bye. Like, you know, it's going to happen, and it's just a case of like the perseverance of just keep trying and trying and trying. And as I say, sort of, you know, being honest with people as well. You know, chatting about it, telling them what you're doing. I went to go and shoot that short, and I didn't have a locations department. This just recently, so this is even just like, you know, a couple of months ago. Yeah. So I was driving about Maryhill because I'd got the cafe location, and I'm like, right, I can't have like such big unit moves. So, you know, 15-minute unit move in Maryhill, and I'm like, where am I going to find like a little suburban housing estate that the Americans are going to understand? And I found a wee housing estate, and I literally was going around chatting doors. Like, can we film outside your house? Can we use your house in a film? And people are just like, nope, nope, nope. I get to the very last house on the street, right? And it's a wee woman called Jean, wee Jean, and I love her. Chap the door. Hi, I'm making a film. Are you? Oh, I love films. I love all that. And I was like, she's like, oh, do you see that film in Scott Squad up the road? I'm mates with the guy that does the locations, and I'm like, aye, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'd said about using her house, and she was like, aye, of course, no bother. I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, I've only got 150 quid, and her eyes lit up. She went, aye, I'll be 150 quid, son. I was so chuffed with this woman letting me use her house. And again, after I'd had about 20, 30, like, nah. I was like, tell you what, my mate does the locations on Scott Squad. If they're looking for a house, I'll tell them all about you. And she went, oh, son, that'd be brilliant. That'd be absolutely magic. Love that Scott Squad, so I do. And it, like, literally going chatting doors, as I said, I was probably by getting to this point going, I'm not going to get a house here. Like, what am I going to do? Disney and Fox are going to be raging at me. And
what a sentence.
I know.
Maryhill looking for a house for a Disney film.
I know. And saved by wee Jean. So I kind of a
great, man.
About there.
No, it's fantastic. I'm going to have to shoot off just now, but I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Kim and Alan and Michael as well. But I'll catch you soon, man. I need to go teach you class. Thank you very much. See you soon. Right. Cheers. Bye.
Hi John, I'm interested in chatting about Anna and the Apocalypse. I was wondering how you get involved with it and what impact did that have in your career?
So how I got involved was basically like my first feature, Where Do We Go From Here, was screening at Glasgow Film Festival, and the producers had been along to see it. Now, Where Do We Go From Here? It was never a film that was ever going to set the world on fire. I knew that. I knew it was just going to be a nice film, and that was all I wanted it to be. A nice film you could go and watch with your granny. Like, it was just one of those sort of, like, I wanted it to be like a sort of family shared experience, and particularly for that older generation, just because of, like, as I said, the sort of how much I owe to my granddad and I owe to my grandparents anyway, just as being my cheerleaders in life. And it's, as I said, it's just a nice, sweet comedy, and the producers were there, and they'd been looking at musical directors and they'd been looking at horror directors and just hadn't found that right fit. And the film went down an absolute storm at Glasgow Film Festival, and they were like, maybe we should speak to somebody like John. And they brought me in to pitch for the film. I pitched for it. I didn't get it. I'm going to be honest with you, I'll tell you that. I didn't get it first time round. What happened was the execs were like looking at they didn't think that I was capable of handling that kind of budget. So they'd actually went to go another way with it. They shot a taster. They came back. John, how you doing? Would you like to pitch for this project again? Of course, guys. Of course. I love this film. So I pitched for it again, and they decided they would go with me. So perseverance, everyone. Honestly, perseverance. Just hanging in there. Positive vibes. So they came back. We sat down to discuss it, and one of the things I always wanted, like, I love in film is character. Even now, like if I'm reading scripts and the characters are crap, I just shut it and say nah. And I love the kids in Anna. I just loved them. They were just so, they just felt so real and so vibrant and so endearing and sweet. And so that was like sort of the how I sort of started to get, how I got the job. And when I started, the script was still in a sort of evolving state, still being written in certain places, was still changing and being developed. And I think that when I got there was 6 songs, and 3 of them stayed and moved forward with them. So it was kind of like all guns blazing. And I don't know if a lot of you guys know about the story with Anna. The guy that had wrote and directed the short passed away, unfortunately, in 2015. Ryan McHenry's name is, and the producers were all best mates with Ryan. They'd sort of all grown up with him, particularly Nathan, who grew up with him in Dumfries and Galloway, and like they shot like short films together, and they were doing what with their shots making up back towards that first feature, just like I was doing with my mates. So it was a wee bit intimidating coming in, because you're sort of going to be working on what was essentially going to be somebody else's project. But like I like those guys just took to me like a duck to water. Like I love them all dearly, like brothers. We're all so close now as well. And it was always like that. Like when from the way I started, they loved my vision. They were on board with my ideas. They wanted me to just go out and make that film, and for them to support me in any way possible. So me and the lead producer Nathan Carew, we're doing everything together now. That's all we want to do, is work with each other. Like I love Nathan. I love working with him, and he loves working with me, and we're like that yin and yang. He did like business and economics, and I do the talking. So it's been like a sort of match made in heaven between us. So we started like I think it was the April 2016. I basically got the job and started working on it, and we were shooting by February 2017. Or was it the 2015, 2017? I can't remember. They've all kind of went merged. All the years have merged into the one thing.
Just a blur, filmmaking blur. I mean, some of the scenes in that film are like the dance scenes and the musical scenes are pretty epic. Had you done something? Have you directed that kind of choreographic stuff before? That would have been was that new for you?
Oh, it was the thing that was the most daunting, because I feel like I can do comedy, I feel like I can do drama, and I feel like I love horror. Like I love horror, so like understanding that side of it, I was always feeling pretty confident. It was more on the musical side, so like I went back and watched like loads of musicals, because my favourite musical up till that point was South Park, Bigger, Longer and Uncut. Like, if you'd say to me, let's go see a musical, like you'd be dragging me kicking and screaming. I'm like, I'm uncultured. I'm an uncultured swine like that. But I really sort of like tried to dive into stuff, and honestly, like I watched like Moulin Rouge, I love West Side Story. I'd never seen West Side Story before, and I love it. Like I went to go back and watch like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, like in A Little Shop of Horrors. I tried to watch High School Musical. I put it on for 15 minutes and was like, okay, I get it. Like, you know, hey. I went to see stuff, like some live stuff, like Legally Blonde. If you haven't seen Legally Blonde, the musical, I love the film, but the musical is amazing. Like, actually amazing. It's hilarious. I saw Wicked as well, which was great. Sorry, I'm just going through musicals now. But just sort of like try to break down and understand what they were about, and like the function of them was like what my like sort of the main way to do things. I kind of look at film like that in a kind of structural way and looking at how to break down. I knew the going into Anna, because we're juggling like all those genres, like we need to sort of like anchor them in certain places. So what I did was I looked at the 3-act structure, and I was like, right, within this film, we need to sort of like, you know, have that sort of clear defining points, and sort of like that. The first 15 minutes of the film, and even in that first act, it's just a zany teen comedy. Like, I want the audience to be on board with the kids. Like, the story's going to get crazy. I'm asking them to be into musicals. Zombies are going to turn up. People are going to die. I need them to be on board with the characters. So for the first 15, 20 minutes, we're just with them. It's great as well, because when you're in post, the execs in the States are going, where are the zombies? Where are the zombies? Shut up, character development. So making sure that we were just having this bright, you know, fun, as I say, sort of teenage coming of age drama to begin with, was my main focus. And then when we hit the second act, basically, like, I know, as I said, I'm a horror fan. I'm a big horror fan. So like, I know that the horror fans in that audience are going, I signed up to a zombie musical at Christmas. You've delivered Christmas, you've delivered musical, where are the zombies? And the second act is when she wakes up in the morning after the sort of the snow angel scene. And I do like loads of horror tropes, like sort of like high angle shooting under the bed, all building towards her taking a wee sweet out, you know, and then like all the sort of drones and everything else. And what it is I'm trying to sort of signal to all the horror fans in the audience and say, thanks for watching. Like, horror comedy is about to ensue. And, you know, she walks out and it's chaos. It's like, you know, like people falling out of windows, running about, zombies everywhere. And then we've got like the horror comedy, you know, the horror teenage comedy, and all that sort of runs all the way up to the end of the second act. But at the midpoint, we've got Human Voice, which is my real first moment to inject some like drama into the frames. So as you might notice from the beginning, it's all primary colours. It's all reds, blues, yellows, and greens, and they're really vibrant and really colourful, because, as I said, that makes for the sort of teenage comedy sort of like experience. And now, as we're sort of hitting that midpoint, and I'm trying to again sort of signal with the audience that later on the drama's going to like take hold, and I need to sort of ease that in. So with Human Voice, you know, we take it down. They're all quite sort of still. They're all quite static. As I say, we start to make the blacks much inkier, and those colours start to become muddied in there. And that is, we sort of saying, like, you know, like I'll try to sort of inject that little bit of drama that's going to now progress through the latter part of the second act. And as I say, we've muddied down all those colours. They're still there, but they're a lot darker. As I say, sort of just keeping in there, as I say, that the drama's all in there. And then the third act can be that sort of like horror drama. And I've now taken all those primary colours, those reds, blues, and greens, and I've twisted them and made them become sour. So it's now peaches and purples and turquoises and pinks. So that, as I said, it's still keeping the brightness and the vibrance in there. But what we've done is we've shown that the colour has progressed, it's changed, and there's, like the teenagers, they've sort of, you know, become, you know, a little bit twisted and a little bit darker just through that journey. And all in that, like I kept on sort of, that was my way of going through it. But the musical aspect of it, sorry, because that's such a long-winded way to answer that question. But now the musical aspect is where it has to sort of be, we have to focus on it. We can't turn around and go, oh, it's been 10 minutes, we better batter a song in. Like, everything had to be there to progress these characters and the story. And when I was watching like West Side Story and Moulin Rouge and things like that, and Cabaret, like, I realised that what you get to do is you get to have the characters stop and tell the audience exactly how they feel. Now, you watch the cinematic release of Blade Runner, and there's a voiceover there, and like half the audience is like, it's blasphemy, it's terrible, no voiceovers, like voiceovers ruin everything. But here we get to have, like, as I say, characters stop and tell you everything, how they're feeling, what they want, what their dreams are, everything. So it's just taking a moment to sort of understand that, and each sort of musical moment is a character sort of building exercise and development, which again is incredible, because that again, what you want is you want your audience on board, and you want your audience in and sucked in with the characters. So as I say, by doing this, they get to just do that.
It's an opportunity, isn't it? It's actually a luxury when you look at it like that you can actually delve into somebody's character's brain box and just focus on them for however long the duration of the song is. I've never thought it that way. That's really interesting.
Not exactly. It's mad, but like, you know, and as I said, I was worried about all that, but then once, as I say, start to break down all the formula of it, and like, you know, and what it's used for and why it's being used. Yeah,
it's an opportunity to indulge in that character.
Totally.
I wanted to just go back to your shorts, and because I suppose with the students and everybody that's on this Zoom, shorts is probably how they're going to start their career, what they're doing just now, actually, a lot of the HND and stuff. Where do you, this is a kind of big question in the sense of, where do your ideas come from? It's quite difficult. It's totally subjective, but for short films, where do you generate ideas?
So I think it's like, it was, as I say, it always comes down to moments for me. Yeah, like, you know, like that, they sort of like, it's moments that sort of, you know, it's what we build out of, particularly for particularly for shorts for me anyway. So with notes, it was like pretty much just writing to that, you know, like to somebody and sort of wondering what they're like, and, you know, what their personality's like, how they talk, how they move. And as I said, I started to think, what if he was a lassie and I was like sort of trying to sort of woo her? How would I do that? Or, you know, through post-it notes. And it's like just that extension of that. Just Say Hi comes from like a little moment. I love watching, like, I love people watching, like, not in a creepy way, but you're sitting in a coffee shop, you watch people sort of, you know, getting onto it, and you know, like, I just kind of like getting lost in that. You watch people even sort of like, you know, you're in a coffee shop and you look up and you can see a couple arguing in the window, and you sort of are like, you know, I don't know, I do it anyway, but you see, you, Jerry, what you going to walk and say? I'll tell you. Like, I just like playing about. And we Just Say Hi, it was, I was on a tram in Australia, and I watched this guy and girl who didn't really know each other, but had sort of met each other, do this sort of like wee looky each other, and then she got up and sat next to him, and the two of them chatted and blah blah blah, and then like they got up, and it was the weirdest moment where they both kind of wanted to ask each other for phone numbers, but then didn't, and she got off the tram and he stayed on the tram, and like I watched her like looking back, like to see if he was looking back at her, and he wasn't, and she turned round, and then he turned round and looked back at her, and it was like just sort of all those sort of wee missing moments of just something that was just about to spark. And I really loved it, and I just, you know, enjoyed being in that moment. And I thought, like, you know, when I was trying to make up like a 2-minute film, I went, well, that could sort of like, how do I do that? I think even like we Doug and Steve, which is, you know, the most batty of them all, was just, I wanted to make a bit of a stoner comedy with my pal, you know, like that was it, you know, like, you know, I grew up on Kevin Smith movies, so I went to try a wee sort of like idea of my own on that. And I'm a Catholic, so I can take the mickey out of Catholicism, it's fine. So I like, let me say that it's a wee sort of technique or tip, right? You can try this, you might not. Like, was I used to get somebody to send me 6 random words, and I would pick 2 or 3 of them and try and do a synopsis in 25 words or less. which was just like, see, whenever I was just writing anyway, and I would just write down some random words, but I kind of picked them, so it kind of made it a wee bit harder just to ask a bunch of mates, somebody send me 6 random words, and you would get them, and then you just take 2 of them and write, as I say, a wee synopsis. It might be crap, but your brain starts going. You start thinking about stories, you start thinking about places and characters, and in particular with something small like that, you can sort of really condense it. If you're doing those sort of like first shots, it's like minimal characters, minimal locations, to sort of, spread it out and sort of, as I say, sort of take the opportunity, just to sort of do it all in those sort of like couple of days in those couple of locations. When you're running about the place trying to do one thing after another, and as I was saying, a unit move just for like going from one place to Maryhill to the next is such a big deal for a crew. It's the same for even when you're doing your shots. It's just trying to think of what can you do in that sort of like just say small amount of space and small amount of time.
That's a brilliant tip, because I think sometimes when you're trying to make something, you can get so hung up on try to get it perfect, planning it, when what you're talking about is you just set yourself these parameters, you create challenges for yourself, and then you just go and do it, because through the process, you might make something good, you might know, but what you'll do is you'll learn through the process, and accidents will happen and other ideas will spin off of that. So I think would it be right to say it's like, just, get on with it, come up with some ideas.
No, honestly, I know it sounds bad, just go on with it, but 100%, because like nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to just walk around and go, here's an amazing script, I want you to direct it. That, I mean, that'd be amazing, but it's it comes from, you make your own work. You're the one, like if you're going to direct and write, you write your stories you want to tell, and trying to fit, as I say, fit into those parameters. That's the sort of that's the objectives and the sort of things that you need to overcome to make something. And it is hard. That's the thing about it. That's the thing about this industry. It's hard, but if you want to do it, you just need to get in about it. As I say, pick up the phone and get the locations, get the cast. Like the other thing as well is, I'm going to just one thing you just sort of like to always touch on is like, don't be scared of failure. Don't ever be scared of failure, because see, if you make a shit short film, nobody has to see it. Show it to your gran and your mum, they'll tell you it's amazing regardless, right? They love you. But like, like, in all honesty, like, I've made shit short films. Like, as I say, I've made crap sketches with my pals, and it's not to say that it's that I didn't learn from them. I had to learn from them, and when you can sort of accept and go, I did that wrong, and as I say, there's no such thing as failure if you've learned. If you've done something, it mucked up, it hit the fan, who cares? It happens. It's a case of like, pick yourself up, dust yourself off. Nobody made one short film and became, an Oscar winner director or writer or filmmaker. Like, you start off small, you make your mistakes. It's all right. It's no bother. Right. As I say, I'm sure you can find some really crap, dodgy sketches for me. And the other thing as well is like, we all sort of like, we're all going to be doing this thing where we all sort of sit in the house and you sort of work on a script and you're writing it and you're all kind of on your own, and you can get down a wee bit. And one of the things about filmmaking and the film industry, regardless of what job you work in, there's all these sort of peaks and falls, and we're always riding them in life, regardless, and sometimes, a bit of rejection can knock us back. Sometimes, like not getting that film festival we wanted, or like, that cast, or like that location, and it can be hard. It's all right. It's all right to feel down. It's all right to feel a bit crap. Mm-hmm. Just go and do something that you enjoy. If you like playing the computer, go turn on the computer for 45 minutes. Go and make yourself, like, feel a wee bit better. Like, because honestly, like, we have so many highs and lows. And I'll just an example, right? Where do we go from here? I was in post, right? I cut it myself because I couldn't afford an editor. As I said, I had the money to get it in the can. But what I knew I could do, right, was if I could submit the film to Edinburgh Film Festival, right, and if I could get accepted first-time feature filmmaker from the UK, I can get nominated for the Michael Powell Award. If I get nominated for the Michael Powell Award, I can apply for completion funding. I can finish this film. It's going to cost me 14 grand to get it dubbed and graded, but I can get that money through Creative Scotland if I get into Edinburgh Film Festival. It's an if, but I'm going, hey, homegrown talent, you know, I've got every faith that my film's good enough. Who's going to be making a Scottish romantic comedy that year? Nobody. Well, unluckily for me, I got rejected. We didn't get in, and honestly, it broke my heart and it devastated me, and I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. Like, I literally was like, I couldn't get off the floor. And like, what it was I was going like, how am I going to finish this film? I'm going to need to learn how to use Resolve and Pro Tools and do it all myself. Like, this is brutal. And what I had to do was go pick up the phone and start phoning around those facility companies that I'd got the quotes from and say, by the way, I can't afford the 14 grand. Is there any of your graders or doubles that would be interested in working on a film for free? Like, who's going to say aye? Well, Edit 1, 2, 3, they've been working on Homes Under the Hammer and Escape to the Country. And what it is the doublers and the graders don't want to be working on Escape to the Country and Homes Under the Hammer. Well, they do, but that's not all they want to focus on. They want to make features. And here I am turning up to them with a feature and saying, could somebody please do this with me? The grader, John Bruce, jumped on board, and the dubber, Claire Asanova, jumped on board, and they done it for nothing. We done it in the evenings. Me and Claire would sit and watch Judge Judy in the evening and sit and work away on it. And me and John would do, well, we wouldn't watch Judge Judy, but we would sit and work on the film. And that was like I came through that in a different way. I took the knock, and it was honestly the worst knock I'd like at my career by that point. And I didn't think how I was going to recover from it, but I did, and I done it by picking up the phone and just persevering and pushing on. As I say, you're going to get rejection. It's hard. It is crap. You're going to feel low. It's just a case of we all feel like that. You're not alone. Don't worry about it. Just pick yourself up. You know, go and do something else for 45 minutes and an hour, and then come back to it. Feel a wee bit better, like, honestly. And as I said, don't be scared to go, here, I'm feeling crap today, I'm going to do something else. I know I do it even now. I'm sitting here I'm supposed to, like, I'm actually writing, but like, you kind of get stuck staring at the wall for 45 minutes because you kind of get lost. It's like a little bit of meditation. You kind of get lost in the story and the characters, and you're sort of playing about. After 45 minutes, I come back and I go, I've been staring at the wall for 45 minutes, and I need to push myself, like, for doing that. It's just so you know that that's okay to do that. Like, if that's part of your process, it's part of your process. Just make sure you make your notes and you write all that sort of stuff down. Don't punish yourself for getting lost and thinking about, well, as I say, making something.
I'm just aware of the time and think, so are we going to have to jump off at 12:30? Is that right, Alan? Is it? Some students are going to another class?
No.
No, be okay?
Yeah, HNC's are tomorrow. So.
I've only got a couple of more questions, John, and then I want to throw it open to the students. One of them...
you can go for as long as you want. Honestly, I've taken long enough for this, so whatever you want.
Cool. One of them I think we've actually kind of touched on, or you've touched on all the way through when you've been chatting, and that's about what abilities, qualities, skills do you think a director needs. And the stuff I think you've already touched on is like resilience, being resourceful, you know, things like that. Apart, obviously being creative, having an eye for it, but there's all these other, having a brass neck, I'd say that's maybe one of the skills that you need to have. But is there anything else you would say, just knowing other directors or being a director yourself, any other qualities or skills or abilities you think that's important? Collaboration.
Not one person makes a film, right? Like a film is a machine, right? And it's like, it's got all these cogs. It's got big cogs and it's got wee cogs, and regardless of where you fit in that machine, if you're one of the top brass cogs or you're one of the wee tiny cogs, you're needed regardless of, and you're needed in the whole way through that process. Regardless if it's, you know, in production, regardless if it's in you know, on set or in post, like, everybody's required, right? And nobody, like, if If all those cogs aren't all working in unison and together, then the machine doesn't work properly, and it sort of just chugs along. And like the best teams I've ever been on are ones that, as I say, there's that respect. It doesn't matter what department you're working in and who you are. It's like we're all working towards the one thing, and that goes for like collaboration with your crew. You know, like doesn't matter, make a short film. Your DOP suggests something to you. They're not suggesting it because they think you're crap. They're suggesting it because they're invested in your project. Like, do you know what I mean? And like, I remember when I was at college and things like that, it was like, you know, class politics and people didn't get on with somebody and somebody didn't get on with somebody else. By the way, that's in your working life as well. You're going to get that everywhere. You're not going to get on with everybody. But the reason you're all in this class together, the reason you're all in this course together is because you've got a special skill. And it's about you evolving that skill and sort of working on it. And by the way, see the person next to you, the guy and the lassie next to you, they've got a really good skill and all. Being a director as well is about communication, collaboration, and man and woman management. So understanding what their skill is, how do I communicate to them what it is I'm looking for, and how do I get the best out of them, right? Because if you're working with people who are, you've got an amazing DOP, you're not going to be sitting around and going like, right, well, I want you to put a 1K up through that window, a couple of pups at the back, and sit here on a 50 mil. Like, they're going to be like, on your bike, right? You know, show me the scene and, you know, what size you're wanting and where you're wanting it from, and I'll do the lighting and I'll worry about that and everything else. Just, you know, let me do my job. Can you imagine doing the same thing to an actor? Imagine coming into an actor and saying to an actor, right, what I want you to do is I want you to walk through that door, sit down, I want you to pick up the paper, drop the paper, deliver your line and pick it up again. It's going to be like a bit of wood. You're just going to watch them waddle along doing See, when you speak to them and you say, right, guys, what I need is this. I need to get you here, and I need you. And what I'm looking for is like this and this, and you walk with them and you talk with them about it, and they feel part of the scene. You don't feel like they're just being told what to do, because that's dictating, not directing. And as I say, collaboration comes from all aspects of that. You know, as I say, from the writing stage all the way right through, and it doesn't matter like who it is you're speaking to about it. It's like work with them. If somebody's suggesting something that you don't like it, that's fine. But see, what I do with all my actors, and I know a lot of like actors love this, which is usually by the third take, I let them just do whatever it is they want to do. If I'm happy, I've got it in the first and second, or in the third, I'll do a fourth and let them do whatever they want. It's not to just be like, you know, whatever. It's like sometimes like they've got an idea of something they want to try out. Some actors are a bit vocal about it, some aren't, and they kind of keep it back. By the time you get to the third one, and they're like, if they've got ideas, even if they haven't, I'll just say, do what you want. Mm-hmm. There's an excitement when an actor knows that I've nailed that first and second take, and I know that I'm coming up to this third one and he's going to let me do whatever I want. Like, it's not to say that you have to do it for everything, because time always gets away with you. But if you're sitting there and an actor's had an idea, it's like, cool, well, like, what I need you to do it like this, but, you know, let's go for the, like if we can nail it, you know, when it comes to the third or fourth, let's try that. Usually they're like that determined, they're going to hit their marks and deliver it whatever way you tell them you want it, so they can get that third and fourth take. And usually, sometimes it can be pure gold. Other times it can be absolute nonsense.
But it's worth it. It's worth giving people the space to create. That's what you're there, is facilitating a creative space. Exactly.
And when you've got somebody that's on board with you and you believe in them, and they, you know, and they're going to in turn believe in you. They know that, like, so you're giving them the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And as I say, people want to work for you when you're doing that.
Mm-hmm. Is it fair to say then, I'm maybe putting words in your mouth, but if you think back to your college time, that you're learning the skills, you're learning the camera, you're learning the script writing, you're learning the photography, editing, sound, but you're also learning how to work with people? Is that these soft skills are probably just as important? Learning how to be a good listener, collaborate with people, learning how to take constructive criticism. These are just as important as learning how to use your camera, and all your technical stuff.
It's because, again, as I said, you're going to work with people. If you want to direct, you're going to have to like figure a way how to communicate to these these people, sorry. Honestly, like if you go and think about like all the sort of like the big directors out there, like do you think that they shy away from talking to somebody or telling them what they're looking for? No, like it's just in that. And while you're at college, as I say, I know what it's like. I genuinely know, because like I was always the baby in the class. I was 17 at college, and then I was like I was 19 at the RCS. The next guy up from me was 24. So, you know, like I was always the one that was given the boom. I was the wee tiny guy in the corner that they gave the boom to, and when you do the boom, McPhail, like, you know, you're like, well, trust me, guys, I'm really good at this. And it hurts at times, and it can be like that, but it's not always like that. It's just how it is sometimes.
And is that, so that leads on to just another question I've got as an extension of, like, that's how you pick your crew then? So when you're putting a team together to work with, you said earlier on you've worked with a producer continually since you've worked with them. These collaborations, when they work well, they continue. So how do you put a crew together? Is that?
I mean, what I do is I set my shooting dates, and I go, you free? First and foremost, I like to set dates. I like to set dates and go, right, well, here we go, and I'm going to make a short. I'm going to go make a short, and I'm going to start shooting here. Those dates might move here or there. But one thing I've done is I've started telling people, and I'm not going to be the guy that turns around and they go, did you do that short you were going to do, McPhail? And I'm like, aye. Like, you know, you put a little bit of pressure on yourself to go and do it. Set some dates. As I say, those dates might move depending on actors' availability, location, crew availability. But set the dates, you know. And we think with crew is, like, as I said, through my shorts, there's certain people who I've stayed with, and certain people have came and gone, and that's just how it happens. Sometimes, you know, people are available, sometimes people aren't available, and then the person who you used on that last one was really great. You enjoyed the way you worked together, so you move on to the next one. That happens on every job. You work in, like, if you become a camera trainee, or a runner, and you're working with the AD and the camera team, if you go on with that focus puller, see that next focus puller's job, they're going to take you along.
You there, John? You went a bit slow-mo.
Like, they hire you if you're, as I say, if you're a runner, you get on really well. Sorry. And you get on well with the first, the second, or the third. There's no chance they're going to take you on to the next job. So it's, you know, having those kind of skills and anything else. It's like when with your productions, you obviously take the people who you want to work with you. And if you don't really like working with somebody, it happens, you know.
And well, I think that's I'm done with questions. So what I'd like to do is throw it open to the floor and see if anybody else has got any questions for John. I personally could sit and blather for hours, but I'm going to try and just mute myself. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask John?
John.
Hi, Alan.
Well, I'm done. I'll flick.
Can you hear us, John?
Yeah, there is.
Aye, sorry.
Sorry, John, that was great. Listen, that's absolutely brilliant. Thanks for coming on and chatting to the students. Just a quick question. What next for you then? What's your next project or projects you're working on?
So I sold a film to Amazon Studios in January with Scooter Braun's company and Channing Tatum's production company, Free Association. So working on that just now. It's in development. The writer, Sarah Jane Inwards, is sort of writing on that just now. So we're just working back and forward on that. Me and Nathan Alacaru, the producer of Anna and the Apocalypse, we've got a film called Prestige Animals that we've got sort of, we're just looking to get the ladder of the financing, and we're out to cash just now for. Me and Nathan, we've sold a TV series. We've just had the studio attached. It's just coming on board. I can't really say much about that. And I've also been attached to another feature, and I'm pitching for another one next week. So it's been kind of a little bit mad with just like how everything's been going. But so one of the things is I'm like, say this again, you know, guys, I'm saying about rejection and everything. Like, I've got I don't have any representation in the UK. Like I don't really get offered any work in the UK. It's mad. I've got two agents, a TV agent and a film agent, and I've got a manager and an attorney in the US. All my work is in the US. Everything's based out there. So by the way, my mum always told me this, and it kind of helped me. It's like, you're never a prophet in your own land. So if you end up in my situation, honestly, don't worry about it. It'll be all right. So we've got, as I say, a few things on the go in that respect, which has been, it's been good. It's been, as I say, it's been a weird couple of years in the sort of development side, and even on the pitching and learning how to do all that and build those sort of like lookbooks and things like that for those sort of bigger pitches, which has been cool.
Mm-hmm. Great. It's a weird time as well, I think, with COVID as well. It's strange times that try to make films within. I'm just trying to see if there's some, I think there's some questions coming through in the chat as well.
I think Sean and Michael will want to ask a question as well, Kim.
Yeah, cool. When you go.
Sean?
I'll go first. What advice would you give to people that really want to be a director or a producer? What advice would you give them?
I mean, what I would suggest is you just go and make stuff, particularly now. Like, as I said, you've got to learn what kind of filmmaker you are. You've got to kind of learn what kind of stories you want to tell, and you only kind of do that by making stuff. You know, as I said, I kind of found that comedies where I want to sit. I love comedy, and it doesn't matter, like, you know, where that sort of sits in the genres, because it can sort of sit in so many different places, and it's so subjective. But I love it, and it's just, but I kind of found that out by trying stuff and making stuff, and sort of, as I said, sort of, even for producers out there, it is just a case of like, as I say, is learning the trials and tribulations of getting a shoot together. You know, putting a budget together, getting a crew together, and working with a director, or, you know, actors as well. One of the things is you've got is producers have got they've got such a big job, and you know, they're facilitating you the ability to go and just direct. You know, like a lot of producers, particularly on shorts, you're doing a lot of the production as well, because it's usually your project. So for producers out there, it's to sort of, as I say, just sort of, you know, go through in that shooting process as well, but also find a director that will listen to you as well as a filmmaker, because producers are filmmakers as well. Just because they know how to, you know, structure a budget doesn't mean that they don't understand film. They don't know how to talk to actors in the way that you do. They don't know how to sort of, like, you know, maybe set up a scene the way you do, but they love film. And, you know, then, as I said, they should be, you know, they should be making sure that they are, as I said, they're continuing their film education as well on that side of things. It's not just directors that should be understanding how scenes work, and, you know, yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Michael, you had a question?
Hi, John. I really enjoyed your chat. I was just really interested when you started talking about genres and sort of breaking them apart, and the musical thing that sort of threw up. I mean, have you felt that you've done a lot more research about that in the last couple of years because you're involved in pitching process, and, you know, you talk about genres in quite a sort of structural way, in the way they fit and how you can put them together. Is that something that's come from pitching, or did you always have that kind of mind about it?
It's always sort of just been with me, because I've just sort of like, I've just really been interested in how the, you know, like the 3-act structure works, and that it's like, every film's the same, you know, like even Tarantino ones that are like all over the place. It's that 3-act structure, but just sort of like spliced up and put away and put all over the place, but structured in a way that it's, you know, that it's linear and that it all sort of works. So and I just feel like it's because it's such a sort of tried and tested formula in film, that you're going, right, well, you know, if I'm trying to make something, how do I get this to work with that? You know, how do and it's not to say it's to be that rigid. It's just because because it's always about the audience. This is something maybe I should have touched on as well. Is like it's all about your audience. Like you're not making a film for you. Do you know what I mean? Like that's going to be like the loneliest film that ever played. You know, it's just a film that you made just for you, sitting a cinema screen just for you, sitting to watch. You know, it's for an audience and understanding them and understand who you're telling that story to. If you're a storyteller and you're sitting around a campfire and like nobody likes ghost stories, why would you tell a ghost story? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, like understanding the genre that you're making and who it's for. Like, who does this story sit with? You know, once you know your audience as well, then you can start to look at, like, as it's like I was saying about horror fans, like being a horror fan, I know that practical effects goes a long way to a horror audience. So I made sure that, you know, in Anna and the Apocalypse, there was loads of practical effects. You know, like, of course I'm going to have to do some CG stuff, but it's very minimal and it's just little bits to top up, because I know that horror fans are going to go, yes, you decapitated them. Like it's their kind of excitement and enthusiasm for the film that's going to sort of like come in. And as I say, since you're sort of juggling like a bunch of audiences and sort of like try to bring them together in a specific way, you're trying to look at how you're going to support one and then to how you support the other. You know, where the sort of beginning, that sort of High School Musical kind of feel, where it's, you know, bright colours, it's fun, it's teenage angst and drama. That's the teenage audience right there. That's, you're hooking them in. And then the horror comedy, the teenage audience is on board with that. Maybe they're not the biggest horror fans, but, you know, they're on board with everything else, and they've started to kind of like, you know, dip their toe into the gory bits and the sort of the jump scary things that they wouldn't really normally sign up to in a film. It's the same with the horror fans who are going like, I didn't sign up for High School Musical. They go, it's all right, I'll let you go buy it because you had that baby getting eaten on a pram. Like, yeah. That's the, you know, as I say, that way to try and juggle it. And by looking at that structure and saying, well, you know, I need, regardless of film, I need people to get to know the characters. And like, horror fans will wait. They'll get there. There was only one person I saw like during the festival circuit. Him and his girlfriend got up and stormed out. It was in Miami, and it was like film was playing, and it hadn't even got to the end of Marley Sue's song. So like there was no zombies or nothing. There was a wee couple of hints, and he got up and stormed out. And of course, I'm watching, you know, and I'm on a like tour. I'm sweating. Everybody hates it. And I've got this guy who's just got up and walked out with his girlfriend. And the head of the festival afterwards, I was like, what happened with that guy? Why he left? He went, he doesn't like musicals. I went, would you turn up to a zombie musical set at Christmas? They went, I didn't know it was a musical. And I went, what bit? Like, you're never going to please everybody. But, you know, as I said, sort of understanding your audience, knowing them and knowing how to keep them engaged. As I say, also, you know, keep them there, because that's you're telling them a story and you want them to stay there.
Can I just interject and be a total party pooper? I've got to deliver a class to the NQ, who are, a lot of them are on this Zoom. I need to kind of have it finished by 12. So I can see there's a lot of more questions coming in.
Yeah, I've seen.
Everybody's getting quite excited about this. I don't know if you want to continue the conversation or if we could do something else with John where we send him some questions via email. I'd also be interested if John could recommend some films for us to watch, because we've got a recommend chat. But would everybody be up for that? Is that all right with you, John, that we maybe continue it via, we send you one email or whatever and kind of collate everybody's questions?
Aye, don't bother at all.
Is everybody okay with that? Sorry that we've ran out of time. It's just the nature of the beast.
I talk way too much, so I do apologise.
So I will. Is it cool if I send you an email, John, just with these questions, and then also some recommends that you could share with?
Thanks, John. You've been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, pal. Thanks very much.
No bother.
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
That's been great.
Thank you, John.
Cheers,
that was
guys.
brilliant.
All the best.
Cheers, man. Thanks very much.
Oh, hi, Kevin.
Bye.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Can NQ stay on, please? We're just going to chat through the social networking task that's coming up today.
Well, I'll just leave you here, Kim. I'll leave it on, all right?
And what I'll do is I'll make a copy of this chat, so because I think all the questions are in here. Is that
Oh,
right?
the only thing is this is still recording. This is.
I think if you stop recording, what it'll do is it'll just capture what's been recorded so far, and